wanted to introduce you to what I believe to be Tulsa's branding expert. This woman created this thing called rusticcuff.com, and there are these cuffs that people love, but she's branded it to where it's actually kind of like you feel like you're on the team if you buy a Rustic cuff. It's a community. It's a group of people that really buy into the brand. They love the podcast. They love the products. They do meetups. They connect in a way where people feel like they're part of this Rustic cuff community. And she has lowered her standards to agree to be on the same microphone as me. She's a high quality human. So ladies and gentlemen, please stand to your feet and greet Jill Donovan. It's close quarters. She's making her way. Jill Donovan, all the way from Tulsa, Jerusalem to Tulsa, Jerusalem. Yes.
Okay. I want that introduction every day, everywhere I go. Thank you, Clay. Thank you for the invite to be here. This is my 4th time here. I'm curious whose first time this is. Wow. Okay. If you're wondering why Rustic Cuff was named Rustic Cuff, I am too. If you go to our website, you probably won't find anything rustic and you won't find tons of cuffs. And I tell people that when you name your company or when you name anything, your child, whatever, you don't know exactly what it's going to evolve into. And naming Rustic Cuff was a bit like perhaps having a baby in the 70s and naming it Flower Moonbeam Child when you were high, and then years later realizing maybe that wasn't a good idea. But Rustic Cuff stuck, and this is what it is, and I am proud of the name. This was 14 years ago, so I am thrilled to be here. I want to give you just a little bit of background about why Rustic Cuff even started, how it was born. Years and years ago, 45 years ago, I observed adults loving their life on Saturday and Sunday and loathing their life Monday through Friday, right? We all know those people. Nobody in this room. But I set out on a journey to be one of few who loved their life Monday through Sunday. And so at the age of 10, I decided that I was going to find the thing that I loved 7 days a week instead of loathed 5 days and loved 2 days. And in order to do that, I figured that I needed to start something new every year and do it for a solid year, every single day. And at the end of the year, I would say, okay, God, is this what I am called to love 7 days a week? Now, just because you love doing something 7 days a week does not mean it's easy. We all know that. And so I did this. I began at 10 years old. Now I just basically told you how old I was, if you've done the math. And it has been 45 years of doing that. And I have done every single thing that you can think of. Sir, what is your name? With this new VIP section, I feel like I'm breathing on you. Can you smell my perfume? If you can identify my perfume, I'll give you this box. Okay. What is your name? Makai, what is your favorite hobby? Thing that you'd love to do? Salmon fishing? 1 year I took up salmon fishing for a solid year. Do you believe that? No, but I did fish for a year. I've done every single thing that the beginning of the year that my heart set out to do, and for 10 minutes a day, which is 60.8 hours at the end of the year. And I have loved doing it all, except at the end of every year, I'd look back and say, that's not what I am called to do. In my teens, in my 20s, I wound up going to, and I'm talking tap dancing, ice skating, playing the harmonica, all kinds of different skills that I thought maybe God would show me, this is your calling. And then in my 20s, I thought, I think it's law school. I think I'm called to be an attorney. My dad's name was Bernie. He was Bernie the attorney. And I thought, that is what I'm called to do. And I found out that I loved school. I loved law school. I just didn't like the practice of law. And after 3 years and all the work and passing the bar, I looked back and I thought, this is not my calling. I will loathe this 5 days a week and then love my life on the weekends. And life is too short to do that. I want to love, not loathe, love. And so then I thought, well, maybe it's not divorce law. That's what I was doing. Maybe I should be a professor of law. That's fun, working with a bunch of kids, bunch of college age kids. And I did that and I realized, it's great fun, but this is still not my calling. Into my 30s, then into my 40s, and I still had not, now life was good, I just had still not discovered that thing. And you know when you know, right? You know when you know. And my hobby, one thing I started that year was making bracelets. It's a long story, I'm not going to get into it. How many of you have heard that story of how it started? Well, not many, that's just silly. I just don't. Okay. Okay. I'm just deciding here. All right, here we go. I thought that if I could be around somebody that knew what they were called to do, then I would know what I was called to do. By osmosis, I have no idea. And the one person, I'm going to make this part of the story quick. The one person that I knew that she was called to do what she was called to do, like her or not, at this point in life, was Oprah Winfrey. And I thought if I could just get to her show and figure out what she knows, because she was good at what she did, then I could get there. And you can't get tickets to the Oprah show. It's nearly impossible. Actually, it is impossible because she's not doing her show anymore. But at the time, after all of these hobbies, all of these years, I thought, I am banging my head against the wall trying to figure out my calling. And I loved my life. I just wanted to be right in the middle of what God had for me. And I called the Oprah show, couldn't get tickets, tried for 4 years. Finally, I got wise and I thought there's got to be a back door. Got on our website and it said, do you want to be on the show? And I was like, all right, if that's how I can get to the show. I didn't really care about being on the show. I just wanted to be in the presence. Like, you are here because you want to be in the presence of people that know what's up, right? Like, you're soaking all of this in about branding, about all the things, and you want to soak in what every speaker and Clay has to say, and you leave here filled up. That's what I wanted to do. I didn't know how it was going to happen at the Oprah show. I just felt pulled to do that. When she was looking for people to be on her show, I thought, this is my way. The number one thing she was looking for was, are you a regifter? If so, tell us your story. And I was like, yeah, I grew up in a Jewish home and my mom was very, let's say, practical. And she had a whole closet of gifts that she received and that you had to shop in her closet for gifts. You could never go to Kmart, Target, TGNY. And so I was the perfect regifter. I was the best regifter you had ever imagined. I never bought gifts for friends. I always gave them from my closet. I loved monograms. So if you had the same initials that I did, you were in luck. You got the best gifts ever. And Oprah was now looking for me. And so I was still practicing law, and I had a client that left my office, and I just sat there and I thought, all right, this is my day. And I wrote, Dear Oprah, my name is Jill Donovan, and I am an expert regifter. And I told 3 funny stories about how I'd gotten caught. Everybody's given a gift, given a book, and on the back or on the inside it says, Dear Jill. I mean, I've given many books that I act like I got at Barnes and Noble and they were given to me. Now it's a whole different story. And so I wrote Oprah, told her these stories, and like she was a friend. 2 hours later, my phone rang, and it was my secretary, and she said, Jill, Maria from the Oprah show is on the phone, and she wants to talk to you. And I thought, this is so amazing. My life is getting ready to change. And Maria said, Jill, we loved your email. We want to fly out to Tulsa and film your gift closet. We're doing a show on etiquette. And is it okay to regift? Is it proper to do this and that? We want to fly to Tulsa and film your gift closet. And I thought, brilliant. This is my time. I almost put in my 2 weeks notice right then. for practicing law, and I decided to hold on that. And then Marie, the producer, this lady named Gail, flew in, interviewed me. It was so much fun. And the next day, she flew back to Chicago. The next day, she said, the producers loved it. We want to fly you and your husband out to Chicago to sit on the front row of the show. And I thought, it's amazing how quickly life can change. 1 minute you are loathing a client who's, people going through divorce are going through tough times, but I just didn't want to deal with them. I love them. I love anybody. I love everybody. I loved all my clients, but it just was very, very difficult for me to deal with this every day when you're in a loathing state. Doesn't matter what your job is. And so now I'm on my way to Chicago, and my life is going to change. I'm sitting in the front row with my husband, and they said, you're not going to talk. Oprah's just going to say, thank you, Jill, for being here. And you say thank you back. And I was like, perfect, because I'd studied a couple languages. In my 40 years of doing hobbies, I can say it in 3 different languages. This is so great. And the show started, or right before the show started, Maria walked over and she said, Jill, I just want to tell you, there's been a change of plans, and Oprah wants you on the couch with her, and she wants to interview you. And I thought, the heavens are opening up. The angels are singing. This is my time. And I got up on the stage, sat next to Oprah on that camel-colored couch. Do you all remember? Does anybody not know Oprah here? You seem kind of young. Do you know who Oprah is? Okay. You're younger than maybe you just look really young. 19. Okay, you're young. I was sort of spot on there. All right. So sat down. Oprah sits next to me, and the show was getting ready to start. And all she said was, I love your shoes. And I took that as a sign that yep, we're going to be best friends. I feel it. She wants to take me out to dinner tonight. I know it. That's what she was trying to say. And on the other side of the stage was another couch with 2 etiquette experts from Canada, and they were going to weigh in on the subject of regifting and the subject of every subject of etiquette they were talking about that day. And so that day, that moment, I knew my life would never be the same. And I didn't know how. You just have a knowing sometimes. And they rolled the clip and they said, we want you to tell your 3 funny stories that you wrote in an email and just go with it. And I thought, it was 300 people in the audience, less than are here today, but 20 million people were watching. And they aired the clip. It was really funny. It was from Tulsa, my closet at home. It was just fun. It was supposed to be a fun thing. And Oprah looks at me and she said, Jill, how do you feel about that? You've been exposed to the world. And I started to speak, and she said, well, hold on a second. Let's throw it over to the etiquette experts from Canada. Let's find out what they have to say. And I was like, great. Well, I didn't Google what Canada thinks about regifting. I should have. How would I have known? And they were pretty close to us. You would think same rules of regifting apply in Canada. And they looked at Oprah, and then they looked at me with a smile, and they said, Oprah, we think that. And I was like, I know they're going to say something great, because they said they liked my shoes too before the show started. We're going out to dinner with them as well. And they said, Oprah, we think that Jill is tacky, and what she's doing is rude, and all that closet needs to go to Goodwill. And I was like, well, Goodwill you, because this is not how this is. And if you've ever had that moment of shock where you just can't believe, you thought it was going down this road, and it turns out that was never going down that road. And in the 13 minutes on that stage in front of 20 million people, I couldn't tell a single story. Like, I clammed up because I couldn't believe I was being sucker punched by Canada. I love Canada now-ish. Yes, if you're here from Canada, I've forgiven you. But these women were stealing. They were my dream stealers. All these years of searching for something that I was called to do. These women were stealing it from me. And in one fell swoop, that segment was over. And I sat back down next to my husband, and he's so kind. He patted my leg, like, good job, which really means I feel sorry for you. You can cry with me later. And the show ended, and I said to Maria, please don't air that. And she said, Jill, the show's not all about you. And I was like, no, it is. It will be, because this was humiliating. I left and I went to Gino's Pizza. Is anybody here from Chicago? You are? Who? Oh, well, I think you deserve a bracelet for that. Okay. So can I throw that? Okay. So I left, I went to Gino's Pizza, and I just remember finally breaking down and saying, why would God bring me to this mountaintop? Like within 48 hours, why would he bring me to a mountaintop experience only to take me to the lowest valley within 13 minutes? Which is why I won't fly in seat number 13 on any airplane ever again. Why would he do that? And I started crying. And when you're in a moment like that in your business, in your life, and you feel like you have been doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you feel stuck, it's a big fog because you can't figure out where to go. And there are times during that fog that God will clear the skies and tell you something, and then the sky will get foggy again, and you forget what he said. And if you just remember that and walked in that way, it would change everything. And I tell people now, when the sky clears and you get a moment of clarity, write it down so you can remember it when you go back to the fog. And I had this moment that that I said to Terry, my husband, I said, I don't know why God would take me to the mountaintop only to take me so low. Why would he do that? He created me. He knows what I'm called to do. But I have this feeling that but for what just happened, whatever it is that is supposed to happen would not happen. This was part of the journey. The dream stealers, they felt to me like dream stealers, but they were just part of the journey. So 5 years went by. I took everything out of the closet, gave it to, put it in trash bags and said, I don't ever want to re-gift again. Couldn't watch Oprah again because it was the memory of what could have been. If you've ever something in your life that you had to leave or you lost, you don't even want to drive near it because you don't even want to see a picture of that person because it's what could have been. It wasn't the humiliation of what happened in front of 20 million people. It was the loss of hope. And when you lose hope, you feel like you lose everything. I can withstand being embarrassed. I just couldn't stand the loss of hope. And it aired 3 times that year, by the way. They were like, we love this episode. And then I would go out in Tulsa and people would say, man, you look so familiar. It was like Oprah moms, Oprah watchers. And I would always tell them, yeah, I'm Susie Orman because like I look a little bit like her. So I wound up giving a lot of financial advice. I was like, put it in CDs, I guess. I don't know. I still get at the airport, every time I go to the airport, are you putting up Susie Orman? At the airport, they always, I go through security and they're like, are you Susie Orman? And I was like, save your money. Bad things are going to happen. You want to put all your money in Bitcoin. I don't even know. Bad advice, bad advice. So 3 times it aired that year. And I just remember thinking, the thing is, you have to give up your right to understand. You have to give up your right to be understood by other people, and you have to give up your right to understand. And when you do that, freedom comes. So now you don't have to go to church on Sunday for that. I literally just like put it all on the back burner and I just don't even know what to do with this. And I took a sabbatical from teaching law, and I had 2 beautiful little girls. And 5 or 6 years later, I remember laying in bed thinking, I cannot live like this. When you feel stuck in quicksand, you get to a point that you feel like you are awake but dead, like you inside. Like I wanted to live again. And so in bed one night, 2:00 in the morning, my kids were sleeping, my husband was sleeping, and I literally got up and I said, I forgive Canada. That's what I called them. I called them a lot of things, but I forgave Canada. And when I said that, this is so good in business. I mean, I know I'm here to talk about branding. I can say the word branding a lot, so you feel like I'm talking about branding, and I will in a second. But if you are stuck in life, you will be stuck in business. I promise you. I don't care how well you think that you know what to do in business. If you are stuck in your personal life, it will eventually trickle over and then flood over to your business. You have to get your life things right, and the business will follow. And so I said, I forgive Canada. And when I said that, I'm not kidding you, when I said that, it's as if I had been carrying a backpack around with rocks of resentment and I didn't even know it. And when I said, I forgive Canada, I give up my right to even understand. They were promoting a book. They were just doing their thing. When I said that, it's like these rocks came out of my backpack, which for the first time in years allowed the space for God to put a new idea in there. And if you think you're stuck, I would go look to see who you have rocks of resentment towards or about. And I would say, we have a paper shredder at the office, and I have people write down the names of people that they don't even remember that they had been holding rocks of resentment towards. And we shred the paper as an act of like, I let this go. And it's amazing. It really is when you say that. And then it's amazing how it affects your business. And so when I said that, it lifted from me, and I got up out of bed and I said, okay, God, give me an idea that for something that I can regift and put in this closet that I can make and do myself. And I worked for American Airlines as I worked my way through law school. And I opened up this drawer, which had cuffs in there that I collect as I traveled around the world with American Airlines. And I opened it up, and this is where the idea came in. Why don't you make cuffs, learn how to make cuffs yourself, and put words on there that you wished you would have had over the last 5 or 6 years to give you hope on your wrist. It was that simple. After all these years, after I let this go, gave up my right to understand why this happened, that was 10 o'clock at night or 2 o'clock in the morning. I never slept again. Like I haven't slept since then, because for the first time, I became alive with what I was called to do. At the time, I didn't know this was going to be my calling. And I thought, I have nothing. The hand I'm dealt with what I'm doing now is a 7-2, which is like the worst hand in poker, if you know poker. Sorry, that was my hobby for 1 year, so I make poker analogies. I was dealt a 7-2. I didn't have money to do branding. I didn't have connections. I didn't know any manufacturing plants. And I thought, it doesn't matter about the hand you're dealt. It matters how well you play the cards in your hand. And so I said, what am I going to do with my 7-2? Well, I have a law degree. I have some creative bones in my body. And I found out about a website that is contact any celebrity. And I'm like, all right, I know the biggest part about branding is that you have to look, you get one chance. Whatever business card you're handing, whatever packaging, I'm totally in agreement about Steve Jobs and packaging. And I thought, what can I do with the hand I'm dealt? And I sat down and I decided to start writing every stylist and agent that I could find of well-known people that I really admired. Started with Miranda Lambert. And here's where the law degree comes into play. I wrote, dear, whatever Miranda Lambert's stylist name was, dear Jenny, my name is Jill Donovan, and I'm a law school professor. On the side, I make cuffs, and I wanted to know if I could send your client some. And I realized in branding, and if you make it personal, if you connect with the person you're giving it to, it will have a far more reach, a better, how am I trying to say this? A better effect than you could ever imagine than just giving them something generic. And so for all of these well-known people, I decided to create custom bracelets for all of them. There were 20 of them. And I contacted all their stylists. It's amazing. 7 out of 10 of these agents and stylists wrote me back. I wasn't saying, could I send them bracelets and you get pictures? I just said, I just wanted to gift them something. I had no money for packaging. So I got my husband's wallet and just said, what's in there that I can use, that I can give back to him later. And I found a guy in Oregon on Etsy and said, can you make packaging for me that makes me look like I am in a studio in New York City instead of in Tulsa, Oklahoma, my guest bedroom? And I want to buy 20 of them. And so I bought 20 of these long wooden boxes that looked like they were amazing. You would never throw these away. And then I studied every single celebrity or well-known person, all 20 of them. And I had a board up there. I mean, I did not have money to do this, but I knew the small investment of this would pay in dividends. And so I had 20 boxes, 7 to 8 cuffs per box, these long boxes, and I FedExed them all out one day because I couldn't wait. And I remember a couple of days later, I turned on the TV, and Kathy Lee Gifford was she was interviewing on the Today Show, or Kathy Lee and Hoda interviewing Barry Manilow, and I thought, wait, that looks like a bracelet I was making 4 days ago in my guest bedroom. And she puts her hand up on his shoulder, and sure enough, it was a rustic cuff. And when you take a picture like that and you put it on your Facebook, doesn't matter what it is, people are like, I got to have that. And one by one, I would open up a magazine, I would see Miranda Lambert had like these cuffs on, and I thought, oh, this is what grassroots marketing is. You don't have to be holding aces. You just have to play your hand, whatever, all your skills, you put them in a bowl, you mix them up, and you say, how can my branding make me look better than anything else, as if I'm in my back guest bedroom. And little by little, I began to do that, and I became obsessed with it. And I realized when these agents or stylists would get these boxes, that they would want to open them because of the packaging of it. And you just let that carry over to the business card, to every single thing that people see needs to be done with excellence. Because how you do one thing is how you will do everything in your business. And so after I began making these cuffs, making them, sending them out to people, I felt like God told me, now I want you to go in the closet where you have all these cuffs, and I want you to start giving them away to people you don't know. And I was like, I don't think I heard that right, because what is that going to do? And plus, that's awkward, right? Going up to somebody saying, hi, just wanted to hand you a bracelet because I think you need one. But when you feel compelled to do something, you have to do it. You can't not do it, because it will keep nagging at you until you do it. And in my knower, I knew that I was not going to be settled, or I would not grow or move forward until I listened and obeyed that voice. And so I put 3 cuffs on my wrist that I had made. You can't be so attached to things that you can't give them away. And I went to the grocery store, and I walked in, and I see a swarm of people, as if it was like, as if they were, the day before Thanksgiving or something. And I thought, this is awkward. I don't want to just walk up to a lady who's shopping for eggs and saying, sorry about the price of eggs, but here's a bracelet. And I saw a lady who was checking people out, and I thought, okay, I feel like she's the one. And I got my grocery cart and started shopping, and you just hesitate. Like, my best advice is when you just dread something, run to the mountain. Like, it's not going anywhere. Like, run to it. Or if you just stand there and stare at it, it's not going anywhere. If you want to get on the other side of it, run towards it. And so I'm like, I'm going to run towards this. And I got in her line, and I got up to the front, and I said, I know this is weird, but I just feel like I'm supposed to give this to you. I didn't even have a bag or anything. And I just unsnapped it, took it off my wrist. I had 3 of them on, didn't even look to see which one I was giving it to her, handed it to her. And she immediately started to cry. And I said, I'm so sorry. Now everybody's like, there's 5 people behind me in line. They're all watching me watch her cry. I thought, I should have gone to the lady in the egg aisle. And she said, you would have no way of knowing this, but yesterday, and she was saying this through her tears, yesterday I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And when I was in the doctor's office, through my tears in his office, I prayed that God would give me a sign of hope that everything would be okay. And I looked down at the bracelet that I had randomly taken off my wrist, and it was a pink bracelet. And she looked down at it and then looked at me and said, I just want to thank you for being that sign of hope. And I was floored. I got in my car, started crying, and I was thrown back to that moment at Gino's Pizza when I had that clarity that but for what happened on the stage, I wouldn't have gone home and emptied the closet. But for emptying the closet, I would not have, actually, but for forgiving, I wouldn't have had the idea to fill back up the empty closet. But for that, whatever it was that I was called to do wouldn't have happened. And it was that moment that I knew I was called to give away hope every single day through a bracelet. It just so happens to be a bracelet for the last 14 years. It could be anything. But my calling for the last 14 years has been to give away hope through bracelets, for people to wear things on their wrist to remind them that this too shall pass, that faith in God includes faith in his timing. And that has changed everything. Had I known the secret of moving forward and not being stuck was to let go of the past, to let go of what happened. It would have sped up whatever was going to happen. So I will close with a quick story. Everybody's still here, awake and alive. I don't know how much time I have, but I just watched the Oscars and I just don't want the music to start. And I don't want to see Clay out of this. I see you, Clay. I'm doing one more story. I know. This is my last. I'm closing right now. I just want to say this story that so many of you probably feel like you are in a place, I don't know this, I'm projecting maybe, that you feel stuck, which is also you're here for business growth, right? So you don't want to be in the same place. And you've tried this, and then you go try this, and you try this. I have two things to say. Number one, whatever it is that you're trying, like keep doing that. Don't go from this to this to this, because if you just keep doing the thing that you're doing that you don't see results, 60.8 hours of doing the same thing every day, you get somewhere, right? You start seeing results. People give up too quickly before they see anything, and all of us are like, no, you're close, just keep going. But I want to tell this story really quick. When you're in the mode of striving, and it can be filled with anxiety, filled with terrible anxiety. Is this going to happen? How am I going to pay this bill? How are we going to make this product work? This is what I say. If you are here and you feel called to be in the business that you are in, God created you. He knows the hand that you're dealt. He created the game. My mom and dad were both Jewish, grew up in a Jewish home, and years ago, my mom started feeling called to something beyond Judaism. And somebody gave her a copy of Pat Boone's book. You know Pat Boone. You probably don't know Pat Boone, but Pat Boone, he was like the Justin Bieber of our time. And somebody gave her a copy. He's a movie star, singer. He's an amazing man. He's still alive. Somebody gave her a copy, and it was called A New Song. It was about how he met the Lord. And I know not everybody here might be faith-based, but I'm just going to tell the story because I can't not tell this story. And I wasn't going to, but I've got to finish this. Somebody gave her a copy of the book, and she wanted to know more about it. And my dad just didn't want that introduced into our life. I mean, everybody in our family is Jewish, as far back as you go on both sides. And he decided to take my mom to somewhere where maybe God wasn't, Vegas. And so he took her to Las Vegas, and God is there as well. And when they got to Las Vegas and they got to their hotel, on the marquee, it said Pat Boone in concert. And my dad said, Judy, you are going to call the hotel and you are going to tell them that you want to leave a message for Pat, that you read his book. And she said, I'm just a Jewish girl from Baltimore. I am not going to call Pat Boone. He said, we're not leaving this spot until you call. They were with some friends, until you call the room. They did. Pat got back to the room, and he said that he felt that God wanted him to call Judy Reamer on a list of 25 people that had called. He called my mom and said, would you and your husband come backstage after the concert and let's talk? They went to see his concert, Caesar's Palace. Afterwards, they went backstage to the green room, and at 3 a.m, this is a man who knew his Bible well enough to talk to a Jewish woman for hours and hours. 3 a.m, she met God that night, and he baptized her in the swimming pool in Las Vegas the next day. Completely changed the trajectory of all 4 of their kids, of our lives. I say that to tell you that nothing can stay the hand of God. When you are supposed to be with a certain person at a certain moment, and you're supposed to be doing a certain thing with a certain connection at a certain place, there is nothing that can stay the hand of God. So stop striving. Just trust that the one who created you, the one who created the hand that you are dealt, will get you to Las Vegas to meet your idol, your teenage idol, that you will be in his green room and your life will be forever changed. If he can do that for a Jewish girl from Baltimore, he can do it for you and your business. Thank you very much.
Clay, my honor to be on your show. And thank you for all you do. I hear the ripple effects from you are good ripple effects. You know what I mean? people rave about what they learned from you. So congratulations.
Sean, guess what's happening June 5th and 6th right here in Tulsa, Jerusalem?
We are probably going to have an amazing business conference here at Tulsa, Jerusalem.
Yes, we're joined by Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow is going to be joining us right here at the Thrivetime Show World Headquarters, June 5th and 6th. He's a very successful football player, obviously a Heisman Award winner, but he's also a very successful entrepreneur. Now, when you work with real clients, Sean, clients you really work with to help them grow their companies, do you ever hear a business owner tell you that they didn't have time to get something done?
Every day.
How often is not having enough time a problem for business owners?
All the time. It's like maybe 90% of the issues as people are trying to grow their company.
Well, Tim Tebow is going to come join us here at the in-person Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshop, and he's going to teach us time management and his approach to personal self-discipline and getting things done. Also at the workshop, I'll put up on the website so people can see it here. Also at the 2-day interactive workshop, Sean, we are going to be, there it is. We're going to be teaching accounting, systems creation, marketing, human resources, how to hire, inspire, train, and retain great people, accounting, social media advertising, search engine optimization. Sean, what's the area where most clients ask you for help the most? Is it generating leads? Is it hiring people? What's the biggest issue that most business owners have by default before they come to one of our workshops?
Well, I think it's management, because time is the most valuable resource for these business owners, and being able to manage their time is the first thing. Once they get that under control, then generally the numbers, being able to track their business and be able to make the best decisions based on numbers rather than emotions is a big area. And we teach all of this stuff at the business conference, particularly you, Clay. You love to hammer on time management. It's my favorite part of the conference.
Now, I'm going to pull this up real quick here because we're going to go through. If you're not excited, I want to get you excited about what we're going to cover at the workshop here. Okay.
All right.
The 2-day interactive workshop. This is my 20th year hosting workshops. So I'm telling you, folks, we're in rare form here. So one is the idea of establishing your revenue goals. I think most entrepreneurs don't know their revenue goals. Would you agree, or am I off my rocker?
No, that's totally a very important point we do with every one of our new clients that come on board, is we have to establish the revenue goals. And generally speaking, we have a vague idea, but not an exact idea that can be engineered down into like the daily goals for sales. And so that's a really big one.
Now, next is the break-even numbers. What kind of sales do you have to do to even break even?
Yeah.
Third is, how many hours per week do you want to work? What is your ideal schedule as an entrepreneur? Box number 4, how do you stand out in the clutter of commerce? What makes your company unique from all the different businesses? In a world of brown cows, herds of brown cows, proverbial brown cows, the analogy of brown cows, how can you be the purple cow that stands out? How can you be the squeaky wheel that gets the oil? Box number 5, branding. How do you improve the perception that people have of you, your business, your brand? Box number 6, marketing, your 3-legged marketing stool. What is a turnkey way for you and your company to generate leads so you can succeed? Because if you don't have any leads, your business will bleed. If you can't sell, your business will go to hell. You've got to generate leads. Sean, how often do business owners by default tell you they have a hard time generating leads?
It's almost all of the time. It's really a huge struggle. And many times they may be creating leads, but just through word of mouth. So they get to a point where we've implemented systems, and then they need to create more leads, but they've never had to do it. So there's a lot of different scenarios where business owners are like, how do you create leads? Something we hammer on at the conference a lot.
Box number 7, create a sales conversion system. Again, box number 7, create a sales conversion system. Sales scripts, recorded calls, one-sheets, pre-written emails, lead trackers, all of the sales tools, the sales print pieces, the one-sheets, the big screens that you see inside the business. Whether you're a doctor, you're a dentist, you're a lawyer, you got to have sales systems in place. We help you with that. Box number 8, what does it cost you to get another customer? Step number 8, what does it cost you to actually acquire a customer? Step number 9, it's hard to build an organization if you're not organized. We're going to teach you how to create repeatable systems, processes, file organization. Box number 10, we're going to teach you how to manage people, real people on the planet Earth. This just in, we're going to teach you how to manage real people on the planet Earth. Box number 11, how to create a sustainable schedule that works for you and your family. Step number 12, how to create human resources systems for recruiting, hiring, training, and retaining great people. Box number 13, accounting. This just in, we have to cover accounting. It's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. We're going to cover all the accounting things you need to know. And step 14, finally, what is the point of even achieving success? We're going to go over what is the point of even achieving success, how to design a life that you're excited about, how to design a life where you carve out enough time for your faith, your family, your finance, your fitness, your friendship, your fun, and where you're going to spend your focused time. We're going to go through that, all this and more. Now, the workshop, Sean, it's June 5th and 6th. Yep. It's a 2-day interactive workshop. Yes. And tickets, we always do it. It's $250 or whatever price that someone can afford. Sean, why do we let people name their price? Why do we have scholarship tickets available if somebody can't afford the $250 general admission ticket?
Well, we don't want anybody to miss out on it. You know, you could be at a startup phase or you could be, you know, way along in your business, but we want to make it accessible for everybody. I think it actually goes back to a story of your dad, and like it goes all the way back to how you've always done this as a business coach, trying to make sure that, you know, your average people out there have access to the things that work.
Now, 7 a.m. to 5, Sean, why do we go from 7 to 5 both days? I mean, it's 10 hours a day. 20 hours of training over 2 days. Why do we do 10 hours a day, Sean, of back-to-back workshops? We do a 30-minute teaching session. We do a 15-minute question and answer session, and then we take a break. 30 minutes of teaching, 15 minutes of question and answer, then we take a break. Why do we do that format, Sean?
That format is so that we can keep people engaged and not just sitting there listening, but also getting involved. We really encourage people to ask questions, and that's really where the juiciness of the conference comes out, is you can put your personal situation and your questions on the board, and Clay will tee off and give you direct advice. Even without being in our coaching program, you can get direct coaching from Clay. It's really a very engaging format. I enjoy it a lot.
Sean, final 60 seconds, pop quiz here. What date is the conference?
June 5th and 6th, 2025, this year.
Question number 2, who's our keynote speaker coming to the conference there, Sean?
Tim Tebow is our keynote speaker.
Sean, question number 3, how much does it cost to come to our in-person 2-day interactive business workshop right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma?
I think it's, did you say it's $250 or whatever you can afford?
That's right, $250 or whatever you can afford. Sean, how do you spell Eric Trump backwards?
P-M-U-R-T-C-I-R-E. Ooh, that took a long time.
I'll have to listen to this. And you did it right. All right, again, that's Sean Lohman. I'm Clay Clark, inviting you to come join us at the in-person Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive workshop, June 5th and 6th, right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Sean, I'm excited to have this event. I'm excited to see you at the event, June 5th and 6th, right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tim Tebow, baby. It's Tebow time in Tulsa, Jerusalem.
You could be anywhere doing a lot of different things, but you chose to be here.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
Hey guys, Luke Erickson here with the Thrivetime Show. As you can see behind me, we've got all kinds of energy going on. People are starting to show up for the conference, and it is hot in this place. We got grill guns over here. We've got people playing the drums. We've got fire breathers, and man, people are so excited as they come in. The conference is kicked off. This house is packed. We've got Aaron Hansis with Sean Holmes up there. We've got Steve Currington with Total Lindy Concepts up there talking about what is possible when you just implement, when you do the proven system. It's so exciting. People are going crazy. Guys, Luke Erickson with the Thrivetime Show here with you. It is day 2 and the energy is high. People are so excited to be showing up. The team is ready. Come on, let's see what it's like to go on in for day 2. Follow me. I tell you what, people are so excited to be here for day 2. It is going to be incredible. Cannot wait to see what today has in store. right now, here at the conference, we've broken into groups going over search engine optimization. I know for most of us, myself included, if you hear that term, you go, what is that? What does that mean? That's too techie for me. Well, our experts are breaking it down for people so that you can clearly understand how to come up top in Google. It's doable. It's possible. Now we're in the middle of a break, and what we like to do is we like to give you as much tangible and relevant information from about the start of the hour for 45 minutes. Then we take approximately a 15-minute break to allow people to connect with other entrepreneurs around them, bathroom breaks, and also use this time to just really digest all of the good information that you're receiving the whole time. Right behind me, we've got Bob with his grill gun, melting an ice sculpture. It is awesome. The ice sculpture represents our life, right? It's here for a time, but we all need to have the sense of urgency to implement the things that we're learning so that we can make the most of the time that we have.
I heard about it on the podcast. Started listening to the podcast, became a fan, and then figured out about the workshop. I own an insurance and financial services agency, and I was hoping to learn from the workshop systems and processes. I'm big on systems and processes and always learning better ways to run a business more efficiently. The atmosphere's second to none. It's a high energy, really cool atmosphere to be around. Contagious, I would say. Just something every entrepreneur, I think, would appreciate and love. I'd say humorous, high energy, and full of substance, which I think is the key. A lot of business coaches or seminars maybe are high on motivation and making you feel good, but don't have a lot of substance that you can take back and implement, the following Monday, where his does. Man, there's a lot of valuable things. I'm gonna say, this is my second workshop. The first workshop I took back really the importance of a group interview. I used to spend hours and hours interviewing people, screening resumes, and that saving my time on that part is valuable. It was that and then the sales scripting that have been two major things just so far. Man, I think they're missing out on, expert advice from somebody who's been there, done that, built companies, has learned a lot of lessons. That's what I'm always looking for, is somebody that I can learn from that's ahead of where I am. And I think if you choose not to come, you're missing out on a lot of good advice that could help your business.
Hi, I'm Aaron Antis with Shaw Homes. I first heard about Clay through a mortgage lender here in town who had told me what a great job he had been doing for them, and I actually noticed he was driving a Lamborghini all of a sudden, so I was willing to listen. In my career, I've sold a little over $800 million in real estate. So honestly, I thought I kind of knew everything about marketing and homes. And then I met Clay, and my perception of what I knew and what I could do definitely changed. After doing $800 million in sales over a 15-year career, I really thought I knew what I was doing. I've been managing a large team of salespeople for the last 10 years here with Shaw Homes. And we've been a company that's been in business for 35 years. We've become one of the largest builders in the Tulsa area, and that was without Clay. So when I came to know Clay, I really thought, man, there's not much more I need to know, but I'm willing to listen. The interesting thing is our internet leads from our website has actually, in a 4-month period of time, has gone from somewhere around 10 to 15 leads in a month to 180 internet leads in a month. Just from the few things that he's shown us how to implement that I honestly probably never would have come up with on my own. So I got a lot of good things to say about the system that Clay put in place with us, and it's just been an incredible experience. I am very glad that we met and had the opportunity to work with Clay. So the interaction with the team and with Clay on a weekly basis is honestly very enlightening. One of the things that I love about Clay's perspective on things is that he doesn't come from my industry. He's not somebody who's in the home building industry. I've listened to all the experts in my field. Our company has paid for me to go to seminars, international builder shows, all kinds of places where I've had the opportunity to learn from the experts in my industry. But the thing that I found working with Clay is that he comes from such a broad spectrum of working with so many different types of businesses that he has a perspective that's difficult for me to gain because I get so entrenched in what I do, I'm not paying attention to what other leading industry experts are doing. And Clay really brings that perspective for me. It is very valuable time every week when I get that hour with him. From my perspective, the reason that any business owner who's thinking about hooking up with Thrive needs to definitely consider it is because the results that we've gotten in a very short period of time are honestly monumental. It has really exceeded my wildest expectation of what he might be able to do. I came in skeptical because I'm very pragmatic, and as I've gone through the process over just a few months, I've realized it's probably one of the best moves we've ever made. I think a lot of people probably feel like they don't need a business or marketing consultant because they maybe are a little bit prideful and like to think they know everything. I know that's how I felt coming in. I mean, we're a big company that's definitely one of the largest in town. And so we kind of felt like we knew what we were doing. And I think for a lot of people, they let their ego get in the way of listening to somebody that might have a better or different perspective than theirs. I would just really encourage you, if you're thinking about working with Clay, I mean, the thing is, it's month to month. Go give it a try and see what happens. I think in the 35-year history of Shaw Homes, this is probably the best thing that's happened to us. And I know if you give them a shot, I think you'll feel the same way. I know for me, the thing I would have missed out on if I didn't work with Clay is I would have missed out on literally an 1,800% increase in our internet leads. Going from 10 a month to 180 a month, that would have been a huge financial decision to just decide not to give it a shot. I would absolutely recommend Clay Clark to anybody who's thinking about working with somebody in marketing. I would skip over anybody else you were thinking about, and I would go straight to Clay and his team. I guarantee you're not going to regret it because we sure haven't.
My name is Danielle Sprick, and I am the founder of D Sprick Realty Group here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. After being a stay-at-home mom for 12 years and my 3 kids started school and they were in school full-time, I was at a crossroads and trying to decide what do I want to do? My degree and my background is in education, but after being a mom and staying home and all of that, I just didn't have a passion for it like I once did. My husband suggested real estate. He's a home builder, so real estate and home building go hand in hand, and we just rolled with it. I love people, I love working with people, I love building relationships, but one thing that was really difficult for me was the business side of things. The processes and the advertising and marketing. I knew that I did not have what I needed to make that what it should be. So I reached out to Clay at that time, and he and his team have been extremely instrumental in helping us build our brand, help market our business, our agents, the homes that we represent. Everything that we do is a direct line from Clay and his team and all that they've done for us. We launched our brokerage, our real estate brokerage, 8 months ago. And in that time, we've gone from myself and one other agent to just this week, we signed on our 16th agent. We have been blessed with the fact that we right now have just over 10 million in pending transactions. 3 years ago, I never would have even imagined that I would be in this role that I'm in today, building a business, having 16 agents. But I have to give credit where credit's due. And Clay and his team and the business coaching that they've offered us has been huge. It's been instrumental in what we're doing. Don't ever limit your vision. When you dream big, big things happen.
I started a business because I couldn't work for anyone else. I do things my way. I do what I think is in the best interest of the patient. I don't answer to insurance companies. I don't answer to large corporate organizations. I answer to my patient, and that's it. My thought when I opened my clinic was I can do this all myself. I don't need additional outside help in many ways. I went to medical school. I can figure this out. But it was a very, very steep learning curve. Within the first 6 months of opening my clinic, I had a $63,000 embezzlement. I lost multiple employees. Clay helped us weather the storm of some of the things that are just a lot of people experience, especially in the medical world. He was instrumental in helping with the specific written business plan. He's been instrumental in hiring good quality employees, using the processes that he outlines for getting in good talent, which is extremely difficult. He helped me in securing the business loans. He helped me with web development and search engine optimization. We've been able to really keep a steady stream of clients coming in because they found us on the web. With everything that I encountered, everything that I experienced, I quickly learned it is worth every penny to have someone in your team that can walk you through and even avoid some of the pitfalls that are almost invariable in starting your own business. I'm Dr. Chad Edwards, and I own Revolution Health and Wellness Clinic.
Clay, my honor to be on your show. And thank you for all you do. I hear the ripple effects from you are good ripple effects. You know what I mean? People rave about what they learned from you. So congratulations.
And we went from expecting maybe 250,000 this year to we're at 400,000. Hi, I'm Kelsey with K&D's Woodward Finishing. I'm business owner at 23. So I've been working this K&D's company for about 5 years now, and we started working with Thrive not too long ago. And we went from expecting maybe 250,000 this year to we're at 400,000. That's what we're going to hit or exceed. So we're pretty excited about that. It's been pretty much just listening to what they have to say. Their hiring process has just really been incredible as far as finding good quality help, and the just the accountability of meeting up with them weekly, and like such good insight, the resources that they have for specific business questions. It's all been really incredible. It's been a great experience, so I would recommend it to anybody.
What I've seen from Clay and his group at Thrive is they'll give you a simple system, and it's the simple systems are the ones that people can wrap their brain around. They're the ones that people can work with on a day-to-day basis.
Hi there, my name is Stephanie Pipkin. I am 24 years old and I own Black River Falls Cleaning Services. We opened in April of 2019 and it is now mid-June of 2020. So I wanted to talk today about the success and growth I have achieved by implementing the Proven Path with Clay Clark's team and my business coach Luke from Thrivetime. It has been insane to say the least. I started working with them in mid-February of this year, so we're about 4 months in of working together, and it has completely transformed my business in pretty much every facet. So I'm gonna check my notes here. So in 4 months, my leads have tripled. I was getting probably like 2 leads a week. Now I'm getting more in the like 10 to 15 leads a week. I have doubled my number of employees. I'm now hitting the highest revenue weeks in the history of the company, week to week it seems like. We went from about 6 appointments today as our highest in February to now 14 to 15 appointments a day. And hiring quality employees has become much simpler and less stressful by using their systems for hiring. I typically only get maybe 2 complaints a month, if that, and everybody shows up to work. I just have really high quality employees now, especially in something people typically consider a high turnover type of work, you know, cleaning houses, cleaning businesses. I have amazing employees now, and I get rid of the ones who are not so amazing and bring on new ones because of, you know, group interviews shows and interviewing every single week. It's just been great, and I don't waste as much time on low quality candidates anymore. And your coach will hold you accountable. I mean, which I love. Again, the tough love is really great. You know, Luke's like a stern father figure, but he's also nice, but also stern when he needs to be, when I'm being lazy and not doing the things that I know I need to do because I don't want to do them. So that's just great. Worth every penny. I mean, I'd pay him $1 million a month if I can, and maybe someday I'll be able to, but I would just say go for it. If it seems like a good fit, just go for it. Do what they say, even if you think it's stupid or ridiculous, just do what they say because it'll work. You know, people, when they look at my business, you know, people in my town, they think I'm lucky. They think I'm just, you know, things just happen for me. And, you know, maybe I am lucky, but it has a lot to do with hard work and, you know, perseverance and, you know, working till you cry sometimes. That's just being an entrepreneur, which if you're a business owner, you understand that. But it's having these systems in place of, you know, of course I'm going to be successful. It's an absolute because I have all this stuff in the background happening, and I have Luke and Clay and everybody on their team working really hard to make sure that I'm a success. And I can tell that they are just so excited every single week when I'm having all these wins and things like that. They're so excited for me. So it's the best thing ever, and I would suggest to anybody to work with them. So sorry for the long-winded reply, but I just had so much to say, and I could go on for hours probably about how amazing they are. But thank you to Clay and Luke and the entire team there, everything you guys have done for me, and I am so excited to continue to work with you for years to come. Thanks so much for watching.
My saying is, if it's important to you, hire a coach. And I think that's one of the reasons people are not successful is they eat a cheeseburger instead of hiring a coach, you know what I mean? And so my coach pushes me. They're younger than me. They push harder. They're trained. And as my rich dad always said, you know, amateurs don't have a coach, but professionals always have coaches. So I've always had coaches for whatever was important. And, you know, my rich dad was one of those persons. You're on it, man. You're on it. You're on it. Everybody listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about. You have the macro picture. Very few people have that point of view.
Clay, you're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. And as they say in Stoic, the obstacle is the way. And so if you let these pinheads get in your way, you're in trouble.